welcome to this incredible team and collaboration. We have Tila from the Shinnecock Kelp Farmers, Toby from Greenwave, and Sister Joan from the Sisters of St. Joseph Brentwood community. I'm going to keep my introduction short, but I'm going to tell you that this is one of the most exciting things happening on Catholic land that I have ever heard of. And it's because it's happening honoring that land is Shinnecock land, and that land is in need of care and restoration, that Tila and 5 other women, the Shinnecock Kelp Farmers, are answering the call to respond to the pollution of Shinnecock Bay by bringing a really incredible, innovative, but ancient solution, which is introducing kelp farming into the waters. And I love the 3 people here, and I love their love and trust in each other. And with that, I will leave it to Tila to tell us a little bit more about the Shinnecock Kelp Farmers.
Thank you so much, Brittany, and thank you everyone who is joining us today from all across the country. It's so exciting to share this space with you. So as Brittany introduced me, my name is Tila Troge. I am a member of the Shinnecock Indian Nation, as well as the Hassanamisco Nipmuc Nation. I am an attorney and a kelp farmer. And I am here with my very good friends and partners, Toby and Sister Joan. And we have embarked on this adventure for the past couple of years together collectively. I'm also part of an intergenerational collective of kelp farmers. There are 6 of us currently who all bring various different roles, expertise, knowledge, wisdom, and passion to the project that we're doing. But I do want to give Toby and Sister Joan a chance to introduce themselves, and then I'll tell you a little bit more about the amazing and incredible project that we're all working on together.
Well, thank you, Tila. And really, all I can really say is that about a year ago, I received an email from one of the soon-to-be kelp farmers, Becky Jania, from the Shinnecock Nation, and she had an idea to run past us that she thought deserved good conversation. And as Sisters of St. Joseph, we're called to be more active, more inclusive, more loving, and to take the lead in that. And here we have 6 women turning it back to us, and they are being more active, more loving, and more inclusive. So when they had this idea for the kelp farming, and they made a request of us to have access to the Shinnecock Bay, and our congregation was, it bears your name. And so by all means, yes. So in terms of partnership, we're not taking the lead on this. We're learners, we're supporters, we're advocates, we're allies, we are in solidarity. But it is these 6 women, much like the first 6 women that founded the Sisters of St. Joseph in 1650 France. Now we have 6 women here on Sewanaka, the land that is most called Long Island, taking the lead in bringing back the bay and the health of it. So Toby?
So I work for an organization called Greenwave, and we are really focused on delivering technical assistance to regenerative ocean farmers. And it was, we know that territorial farming has a big ecological impact that isn't always positive. And so permaculture and all those strategies are a way to get around it. But what we love about ocean farming is it's all just positive impact. So our seaweed grows in waters that are polluted with nutrient pollution. We don't have to add any fertilizer. It's a 0 input crop, and it only has positive impacts on the waters in which it grows. It sequesters carbon while creating habitat for all kinds of species. And really, we're interested in reimagining the ocean not as a climate threat, but as climate salvation and as a climate solution. And we couldn't be more grateful and really more touched to have found partners as fantastic as the Sisters of St. Joseph, and to team up with these 6 Shinnecock women to rethink how not just we relate to the ocean, but how we relate to extractive economic practices that can sometimes be hard to break. But this team is really focused on putting ocean farmers first and centering economic and environmental justice that delivers economic benefits to community members who have been most directly impacted by the climate crisis. And that's important. It's not just a moral act, but we know that as power gets concentrated and centralized, and people making decisions get further and further from those decisions that they're making, that really bad things happen. And so as we build up this new economy and this new opportunity at Greenwave, we're really conscientious to make sure that we're not going to equip some 21st century eco robber barons to come in and build huge seaweed plantations where folks are toiling away and aren't in control of their own destiny. We're really laser focused on empowering communities and empowering farmers like Tila and her colleagues to be successful. So, this is an example of what we think a sustainable and survivable future looks like, and being led by Indigenous wisdom and by women who are really showing us how we can relate to the world in a way that we can all survive.
Thank you, Toby, and thank you, Sister Joan. And so I just want to center us to where exactly all of this is taking place. So we are on the east end of Long Island in New York. The Shinnecock people have never been removed from our ancestral territory. However, we are first contact people. We have suffered greatly from colonization. We've suffered massive amounts of land loss. We have about 1,000 acres, and we're currently on an 800-acre reserve that happens to be directly across the bay. You can see, looking out at this beautiful photo, we are on a peninsula directly across from the water here at the Sisters of St. Joseph's Villa, which is located in Hampton Bays on Lynn Avenue. And so the first colonists came over from Lynn, Massachusetts, in 1640 and started to do all kinds of land transactions. And so, at that time, we were living in a great abundance. We had enough to share. And so we, welcomed them as good neighbors. And we shared our knowledge with these newcomers. But we were also very careful to reserve our rights to our natural resources, such as seaweeds. And so when you go to these early land agreements that start in the 1640s, we have continuous reserved rights to seaweeds, which is one of the things that we rely on for our Shinnecock Kelp Farming project. But the Sisters of St. Joseph as a congregation have been very helpful to us in many ways. They have helped us financially on other land acquisition projects. They have engaged in direct action with us. They are on the side of the highway with signs when we need them. And so when we approached them to do this kelp farming venture at the Sisters Villa, they were very quick to say yes. We had first become acquainted with this parcel of land during the beginning of the COVID pandemic. We were experiencing vast inequity. I should mention that we are neighbors with the town of Southampton, which is home to billionaires, millionaires, the most influential people in the world. And so the Shinnecock Nation lives in relative poverty. When you open those record books from 1640, the first thing that they were doing was enslaving Shinnecock women and fetuses and children, and as well as extracting all of our land and labor and leaving us with just, quite frankly, very little. And ever since then, we've just seen this like explosion, this overdevelopment of this extremely sensitive area. But where the Sisters of St. Joseph Villa is located is the place that we trace back every single member of our nation to. We were able to do that through the work of becoming federally recognized. And so it's a very sacred place. It's geographically, it's known as an isthmus. So for us, it was the easiest place to carry our canoes across from the Atlantic Ocean to the Shinnecock Bay, which is what you're looking at pictures of, to the Peconic Bay, Gardiner's Bay, various other bodies of water that surround us. And so the work that we're doing here is so important because the overdevelopment of the area that has occurred, and it's not only since colonization, it's really more of a recent development crisis that has occurred since the 1970s in the area. Right off to the left of the screen, it's an area called Shinnecock Hills that was stolen from us as recently as 1859 by the state of New York, and then sold to private landowners who built very haphazardly without any type of planning. These basically mansions that have 25 bathrooms and leak massive amounts of nitrogen directly into the Shinnecock Bay. And so we approached the sisters and we said, we have this project, we're looking to clean up the water. Water is sacred to us, water is life, and we want our children and their children and their children to be able to continue to exist in this place that we all now call home. And so it basically any request that we have made of the sisters has been very graciously answered, and we were able to convert a cabin of the retreat center into our first hatchery. It was quite a small hatchery this season, but we are looking to expand here on the property to a bigger 200 spool hatchery, which we are hoping to produce enough kelp seedlings to hopefully have a decent enough farm to really make an impact on the cleanliness of the Shinnecock Bay. We're hoping to extract tons of nitrates and nitrogen, as well as sequester tons of carbon. We're hoping that we can grow to the size where we're cultivating 10,000 pounds of sugar kelp per growing season, which will hopefully restore the native habitat. Recently, this area was declared a federal fisheries disaster zone by the Biden administration. 99% of the marine life has died. The problem only became worse with COVID. We had a mass exodus of residents from New York City fleeing, causing a 38% increase in the population to this very extremely sensitive ecological area. And so we're really spurred to action and very lucky to have the partners that we do have to assist us in every way with resources and technical expertise, and really also just friendship and a lot of love and support and collaborative efforts. And so I want to have a discussion. So I want to open this up for Q&A. Feel free to ask any of us any and all questions that you may have. We're very happy to answer.
So yeah, we hoped to have a longer Q&A, but if you want to direct your questions to Eric, he has an asterisk next to his name, Eric Anglada. You can chat him questions, or if you don't know how to chat someone privately, you can just send it in the chat. We will not have time to get to all the questions today, but we will make sure that your questions get answered at some point between now and the next course. But I can kick us off with a couple of questions. First of all, Tila, Toby, Joan, thank you so much for everything you've already shared. Joan, I know that you were a part of creating your your community's process for creating a land ethic. And I'm curious how this collaboration is informing how you relate to your land ethic or to your community's conversations about land legacy.
Yeah, well, I think, the community was part of creating the land ethic, which was the wonderful process that was really directed by a core group. But the education and the discernment and the give and take, the back and forth, helped to bring forth this land ethics statement that we affirmed in March of 2015. And it goes along with our charism, mission, and spirituality, believing that all is one, and that our call is to an active, inclusive love that seeks union with God in the sacred community of life, which involves all of life: the air, the soil, the water, the plants, the animals, as well as us two-leggeds. And that also ends with some questions that will help us discern any decisions we make about land. What are the moral and the ethical implications of the decisions? How does it preserve the soil, the air, the water, and species, and the larger bioregion? And as we make these decisions, have we collaborated with the persons with whom this decision will affect? And we are so taken with the Indigenous 7 generations, so if we make this decision today, what impact will it have on the next generation and the next and the next and 7 out? So we have committed to this land ethic, and we do keep each other accountable to it,
Thanks, Joan. And Toby, I know I've heard you talk about this work before, and I know you've worked with many regenerative ocean farming projects. And I've heard you talk about how this one has impacted you in a unique way. So I wonder if you might share a little bit about that.
Yeah, I think this amazing sort of union between the sort of the stewardship that the sisters bring to this project and the wisdom that the Indigenous women bring to it, you can't be around these women for more than a few moments without being very deeply affected. And I think, as we face more extreme weather events, and as we all sort of feel in our bones how precarious life on this planet is becoming, it is deeply affecting to be working with folks who are thinking 7 generations ahead, and who have not lost hope, who have not retreated into their own sort of selfish sinecures, but are really thinking about what does a collective response look like to this problem, and what does a response look like that goes across communities and builds new alliances and new webs of resilience and interdependence that aren't seeking to make any one individual prosper, but recognizing that all flourishing is mutual. And I think for us, it has really given our organization pause to think about how we identify the partnerships and the projects that we want to engage in going forward to sort of find these same sort of webs of interconnectedness in other communities.
Thanks, Toby.
Brittany, should I jump in here and offer a question from the chat?
Sure. Tell us what you got, Eric.
So Maria asks, has conversation happened with other neighbors on the bay about conservation, restoration, land trust, etc.?
Definitely. So we have been working with a number of partners. We really love working collaboratively. And so we have linked up with the Baconic Land Trust, who has helped us to make a number of acquisitions at the highest watershed points so far in the area surrounding the bay. And so we are in the Hamptons, where the parcels of land, we just did a 4.2 acre acquisition, and the price tag was over $10 million. And so it's very difficult to raise this type of capital, especially for the Shinnecock Nation. We have this tradition of land theft and resource theft and enslavement. And, we've really had everything extracted from us. And so it's very hard for us to reacquire even an acre of land. But our partners really have stepped in to help us in this effort to reclaim, to rematriate not only the land, but also the water. The ecosystems are so vitally connected here. And so it's really exciting what we're doing with the Botanic Land Trust. They're actually helping us to dismantle some of these mansions that are causing this catastrophic harm to the bay. We're also in partnership with the Nature Conservancy, who have some parcels, and of course, the sisters and other landowners. And we're hoping to encourage other local people to support the project by purchasing our final end product, which will be a soil amendment that they can use on their lawns to disrupt a lot of the nitrogen that is coming from landscaping and chemical fertilizers. And so we're really looking to create a very intertwined network of people who share our values and educate those who don't, or are just blissfully unaware of the situation that's occurring.
Thanks, Tila. Eric, any quick ones, any little ones? And then I have one big one I want to ask all three of our guests here.
Really quick one would be like, what is kelp used for? That's super quick. And then also, what is the legal agreement?
So kelp can be used for a number of different things because the Shinnecock Bay is so polluted. We're talking about massive amounts of nitrates in the water. 99% of everything has died, so it's not food safe. Once you start to get into deeper water, you can use kelp for food, for cosmetics, for pharmaceuticals. It's really a very versatile product. For our purposes, we are looking to turn it into a fertilizer, soil amendment type product until we can get to a more wide scale where the water is cleaned up. We're also hoping to restore some of the habitat for some of the shellfish and the fish. We've even actually noticed an amazing increase in the bird species that we've seen around our kelp farm just in our first season. So it's really encouraging all kinds of biodiversity to come back. And so our main goal isn't necessarily to create a product. Our main goal is to extract as much nitrogen from the water as we can and to sequester as much carbon as we can. But there are very many uses for sugar kelp.
Thanks. And then do you mind hitting on, either you or Joan, hitting on a legal agreement?
We don't have any type of legal agreement with the sisters.
Yeah, no, it's access to the waters, and you've alerted also the town that this is going on too, so there's an awareness. And kelp grows in the coolest seasons, so you won't be seeing too many boaters out or jet skis out on the bay at this point of the year.
Thank you all. This time is flying by, and we will, please keep your questions coming to Eric or us, and we will work with this crew to get answers to you between sessions. And I do want to close by asking each of you, as I said I would, what is your vision for this work moving forward?
I'm just looking forward to strengthening our partnerships, to increasing to such a wide scale that we can meaningfully impact the climate crisis that we're facing. I saw a question in the chat earlier. Is rising sea level an issue here? It most certainly is. FEMA has estimated that the Shinnecock Peninsula may lose up to 75% of our land mass unless we completely surround ourselves by sugar kelp farms. And so having this access that the sisters are providing us to the Bay is really critical in ensuring that our tribal members can remain on the land that we're on now and that our ancestors have been on for, at least 13,000 years. If we didn't have these types of solutions to the climate crisis, we could be looking at, a situation where we have to move our entire tribal population to higher land. And so it's really vital that we can get as many people and partners as we can to take action together with us. So we are hoping to expand and spread our message to as many people as we can and get as many people engaged in what we're doing as possible.
Thanks, Tila. Heard from, I follow you on Instagram, Tila, and I think your name is Tila Landback Troge. I was like, Troge. And we'll get deeper into this in other sessions, but as you're speaking about, the sustained access to your ancestral lands, yeah, I see Tila Landback Troge here with us, so thank you. Toby and Joan, what do you dream of? What is the fullest vision of this work that you dream of?
Well, I think the vision for the future, a future emerges from the relationships that we cultivate in the present. And for us, and being in relationship with the Shinnecock Kelp Farmers and Greenwave and Toby, these are the relationships that must be at the heart of who we are. And we are, if we're going to do more than survive, if we're going to thrive as part of Mother Earth, because it was said before that we are Earth, and it's our relations with one another, the humans, yes, and also the water, soil, air, trees, and the myriad of other beings of which we are a part of. And if they are not, then I am not, we are not. So to really continue to develop the consciousness that all is one, that we are interconnected, we are interbeings, and how can we expand that vision to widen the circle of love, unity, reconciliation, and restoration. So what's taking place here and the lead of the Shinnecock Kelp Farmers is giving us glimpses of what that vision and that unity can be and is becoming.
Thank you, Joan. And also thank you for your image of solidarity. Toby.
At Greenwave, we like to say that, we're trying to blaze a path so folks can make a living on a living planet. And I think in these sort of existential Hunger Games that we're all living in, as we feel the social and ecological threats bearing down on us, it's really easy to sort of bunker down and look within. And I think the future of this work is the opposite of that. It's looking outward and being in community and building trust with everyone, and realizing that we're all on the same planet together and that we all need to survive together, not apart. And so a lot of times, in order to do well for ourselves, it means doing poorly by the environment, or doing poorly by our fellow humans, taking from people. And we're really interested in models of giving and sharing that build a higher standard of living for everyone. And we think that this work is just a really great entry point into that new way of thinking and new way of being.
Thank you, Toby. And thank you all for sharing. It's so amazing to have you here. And
love you too. Hi. Okay.
Yeah. We're going to have a closing song and prayer by one of our Shinnecock Kelp Farmers, Becky Genia.
The song is the Mama Winane song, and in our language, it's Mama Winane, which means the people move together. Mama Winane, Mama Winane, Mama Winane, Mama Winane, Mama Winane, Indigenous Shinnecock, Mama Winane, Mama Winane, Mama Winane, Mama Winane, Mama Winane.